So tonight's topic is about selling experiences, engaging your brands with the next wave of consumers. So because of that, we are gonna present to you our heroes for tonight. Right, first off, we have Juan from 360. Juan, please come up on stage. Where is Juan? Hooray! Hey, Juan. Alright, and that's from Juan. And we have Fazel Fuad from C27. Welcome. Okay. Alright, next up, we have from the client side, Gary from Astro. Hi, Gary. And last but not least, our moderator for the evening, representing Rise, I present you Azizul.
Thanks, Arif. And thanks to our local enterprise heroes for this evening. Again, Happy New Year's, guy. Happy New Year and welcome to Rise Talk, the first one for 2015. So, everyone pumped up for this evening stuff?
Yeah.
Alright. So, I'm Azizul from Rise. So, as Arif mentioned, we host this kind of talk sharing session together with workshops to inculcate entrepreneurship among Malaysians. We do it on a monthly basis. Same venue. For some of you who has joined us since last August, for the first timers, welcome on board. Hope to see you guys again. So this evening's topic, selling experiences, engaging your brands with the next wave of consumers. Some topic insights. Allow me to be Captain Obvious for a while. So we all know that marketing is about influencing people to get or to buy your brands, right? It's about conveying your brand message. Not just any message, but your brand message that conveys value. So, you know, back then, brands and businesses, the marketing approach was rather simple. They use the mainstream media, print media, TV, radio, develop a product, advertise their brands and products on mainstream channels to communicate with the consumers, target audience. Marketing approach focuses on the 4Ps: product, price, placement, promotion. Fast forward to where we are today, with the insurgence of us, millennials, being the next wave of consumers. We are rather picky, rather a pain in the ass, you can say. We changed the whole landscape. We changed the game. Marketing is now consumer-centric, right? It doesn't work as great as it used to. So marketers, big brands, they realize that. Having said that, they still maintain the conventional approach, which still works, and combine them with digital technology, internet, social media platforms, because that's how you connect best with millennials. And having said that, marketing approach now focuses on the 6 Cs. It's about contact, connect, conversation, consideration, consumption, and community. So, why? Because that's how probably you get the millennials, the next wave of consumers, to like your brand, to engage with your brand, right? Think of it this way. We're all millennials. I'm pretty sure most of us in this hall tonight are millennials. So, at one hand, there's a paradox to it. At one hand, we believe that we are not easily influenced. We stand firm by our consumer's choice. Yet, on the other hand, we seek peer approval, right? Think of it this way. What to buy, where to eat. You're gonna post it on your Facebook like, hey man, any great cafes around here? You seek for that peer approval. So, yeah. So, what does that mean? Does that mean you should just scrap your business plan and focus only to the millennials? Young people. if that's what your marketing approach is, you're most likely gonna fail and so wrong, because targeting millennials, a certain demographic, equals to targeting people, which is not the case. It's not how it works nowadays. What businesses should be focusing on is target conversations and state of mind in a custom and personal way. So, in essence, your marketing campaign has to sell experiences to your target audience so that they can find it, for them to feel it's worth of sharing. So automatically they can help you create that buzz, build that hype. In essence, to drive your brand presence. But hey, I'm no expert in this field, which is why I bring these experts on board. So during our panel discussion, feel free to note down your questions if you have any. We'll be opening up the floor for any one of you guys to direct any questions to our featured panelists. But before that, I'm going to give the floor to each and every one of our panelists to introduce themselves. Over to you, Juan.
I'm sorry, I'm not a millennial, so this thing looks rather high-tech. I was raised in an era where we use slides and transparencies and that little light bulb that we had to shine up. Yeah, oh yes, OHP, I haven't heard that in a long time. So yeah, forgive me, I have to play around with it. Okay, yeah, Happy New Year everybody and a very good evening. I think the guys here, Azizo, Arif, Alex and the guys at Rise, I think deserve a round of applause. I've attended quite a few of their Rise events. A lot of good take-home values if you ask the right questions. And I'm quite honored to be able to come on stage this time around and share it with some very prominent figures in our advertising industry, especially Mr. Gary Gunn, who is a veteran from one of the largest broadcast media here in Malaysia, Astro. So I'm humbled to be sitting next to him this evening. But yeah, okay, very quickly, I think we've got 5 minutes to introduce ourselves. My name is Juan. I'm the founder and managing partner of 360 Sdn Bhd. I've been in and out of events, or maybe in events for a collective of about close to 12 years now, in and out of the advertising industry. And 360 is about 7 years old this year. We were founded in end 2007. That's our vision there, standards through values. We aim, at least from this year onwards, to set the standards in the industry through the diligent practice of our corporate values. So we're actually taking a step back in terms of revenue, and we're trying to do an internal change, and we're going to be very high value driven to become a sustainable agency here in Malaysia. But more on that on another day. Also, we've recently won the SME 100 awards for a fast moving company. We've achieved double-digit growth throughout the last 5-6 years, I think. So yeah, that backed us our first award recently. So what do we exactly do? Well, 360, we like to call ourselves bridge builders, where we build platforms that enable brands to effectively connect with the people that matter most. That's a very important sentence for us because one, platforms can mean anything. It can be your print media, it can be social media page, it can be your Instagram page. That's all sorts of platforms that can be built out there. But to us, we believe that the real most effective way to connect with a brand or a product, right, is to physically interact and experience it. So that's where we come in. And then the most effective way to promote that sort of experience is through on-ground campaigns. And that's where our strength lies. So from there, right, what our actual services are is anything from program and show direction, down to events, to all your basic events and activation campaigns, from road shows, annual dinners, your launches, reward programs, etc. Yeah, anything down to migrant marketing and guerrilla marketing. Well, if there are any questions, don't feel free to check in with me after the talk, and then we can expand further on what we do. These are some of our clients. They are our badges of honor. We are what we label as tier 1 client focus only, which means we only work with the biggest brands in their respective industries. We look at the top 1 to top 5 maximum within their industry. So we helped H&M launch their presence here. Within the first couple of years they were here in Malaysia. Perodua has been with us for about 7 years now. fortunate and unfortunate for me, Astro is also a client of mine. So I would like to ask everybody to keep your questions rather, not so sensitive issues to be discussed. I might not be able to answer them due to political reasons. But yeah, just some pictures that I grabbed off before we came, just to show you some of the stuff we've done before. Resident Evil movie premiere, we had Li Pingping in here, the one of the stars. So the kind of stuff that we like to do usually involves a lot of deco, a lot of experiential stuff that we put in. For Resident Evil, what we did was we actually sourced the car that had been crashed to give that apocalyptic feel. And the car was actually someone died in that car, but yeah, so we do stuff like that. Okay, moving on. Wrong topic. But this is the backbone of 360. We're very heavy people focused, so these are the faces of the people that drive our business, and they're the ones who make sure that everything gets delivered on time and in full. These are some of our corporate values, which we won't run through because there's too many. And we operate from, this is our facility. It's called Campus 360 because one of our core values is continuous learning. So we named the place after, we call it a campus. We don't, the shareholders haven't exactly walked away with a lot of money. Most of the money for the last 7 years has been pumped back into the company, which is why that has enabled us to operate from such a rather slightly bigger facility for our industry. So this is the inside of our office. And then we also have a facility called the Theatre, which is something like what Rise at SME Corp has here, where we give out for free. So it's an open invitation to everyone here tonight, that if you ever need a space for presentations, your pitch, maybe training, off-site meeting, or anything you want to share, free knowledge, check in with us and you can use our space absolutely free. That includes sound system, projector, parking, electricity, everything. Yeah, that's our address. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And again, congratulations for making that SME 100 award.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Fazil Fuad, the Creative Director of a digital creative agency, Company 27, or C27. Perhaps if you can introduce yourself. Oh.
Cool. Hello? Can I hear me? Hi. So I'm actually a millennial, so I'm just wondering why I can't do this in my iPhone. Okay, so hello. All right. My name is Fazil. I'm the creative director of Company 27. My company is actually pretty new. We're 2 years into the business, but we managed to service Fortune 500 companies. So far, we have companies like ESPN. We recently did some work for Hong Kong Bank, and we were also involved in the launch of the new KLIA2, the digital aspect of it. So since my company is new, we've been doing a groundwork. Our work is basically spread pretty thinly across all digital channels. So I'm just gonna, and being the youngest here, I'm just gonna. I guess I have to probably demonstrate some sort of credibility. As you can tell, I'm actually very nervous. Okay, so yeah, because you have the big guys from the event, big events guy and big Astro guy. Yeah, I'm actually a bit pretty nervous. So yeah, so I'm just gonna try out a little bit back on myself. Okay, so probably not what you're expecting from a creative director, but yeah, that was actually the point. So yeah, I'm Fazil Fuad. I'm 26 years old, and I love Tom Yum. That's about me. So okay, so I'll get a little bit detailed on profile later, but I just want like if I don't say anything constructive later in the talk, I just want to leave you guys with something. So back when I was in uni, I actually started my career actually taking photos. Okay, so what photos basically taught me about the whole communications industry is that it taught me simplicity, number one, and it also taught me how to be open-ended. Okay, for instance, if you want me to sum up in a sentence, basically a lot of people say like, picture paints 1,000 words. Okay, when I mean open-ended, to me, I think 1,000 words can also paint a picture. Okay, so next, so this is my journey so far. So I graduated from RMIT Australia back in 2009, and after that, I was in advertising for a bit. And then, but after that, I was actually headhunted by Rocket Internet to be part of the founding team of Zalora Malaysia. Okay, so my time there was actually was actually a crazy. I had a crazy experience over there. What happened was that I actually started as part of the founding team. I was probably the sixth employee over there. That was the first month. In 6 months, we had 700 people working for the company. Okay, so within a year, I was promoted to assistant vice president of Rocket Internet in charge of creative production and creative assets. A year after that, I was promoted to regional head of production of Southeast Asia. That means all Zalora ventures in Southeast Asia, which includes Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, and even Singapore. Okay, so I actually ended the last 1 year of my career in Rocket Internet. I was actually based in Singapore. So after that, when I left Rocket, I started my own company called Company 27. We basically specialize in digital engagement. Yeah, sorry, forgot about that. Okay, so Company 27, what do we do? Okay, the why. Okay, the why is me and my partners believe in collaboration. Okay, we believe in working with a multidisciplinary team. We don't think like designing a logo should be designed by 3 graphic designers and 1 art director. No. Okay, we worked on projects for selling LaSalle contact lenses. My team consisted of an architect, a hotel manager, and myself. Okay, when I worked for KLIA2, my team consisted of a product designer, myself, an international business graduate, and also this guy who was actually an expert of building video games. So for the principle of Company 27 is that to achieve certain goals, okay, it's just going to be cliche and say that you actually have to think out of the box. And there's no better way of doing that by working with people whose expertise actually complement your own, or actually multiply your own. So, we are based in Tamatun. This is our office. As you can see, right behind there, we have a huge painting of Yasmin Ahmad, which is one of my creative, which is basically one of my idols. Okay, so essentially what we do is that we transform businesses to increase their respective relevance in the digital age. Okay, we're not gonna, for most of our work, we're not mostly about selling more products. Of course, there's always the end game for any business, but we help businesses create a proper digital footprint that will last for a long time, and also bring in consistent benefits and revenue. Yeah, and that's about it for me.
Thanks, Faisal. Next up, we're gonna have Mr. Gary from Astro, representing the client side, to give a brief introduction about himself.
Oh,
Gary?
okay, wow. I actually know the other 2 panelists, and wow, some hard selling going on, man. So, I think John mentioned being humble and everything. I should be humble because I think I'm the only one here who's actually an employee compared to the bosses there. Those guys sitting beside me. So, okay, my name's Gary. I'm not going to tell you, about history of Astro and what we do because I think everybody knows that. But perhaps to tell you what I do at Astro in a little bit about how Astro is approaching the future, right? Especially looking at capturing the millennial segment. I am particularly in charge of, perhaps the most challenging part right now in Astro, which is new markets or new customers, right? We're at a threshold where new customers like, Fazil there and Juan here, who doesn't have Astro at home, or you do, but dad's ones, right? So the new households that we're approaching right now, that's coming up, that's forming up, are not really buying Astro, okay? And we are facing a big problem. And if we don't reinvent ourselves, we don't understand how we're going to approach, this new market, we're going to be obsolete like a lot of brands like Kodak or Nokia, for that matter, who think they're too big to fail. We're not, okay? And something that we're looking at. Astro as a company has to evolve, and we are evolving, not just in terms of how we approach the market, Um, but overall, the whole product proposition in moving from just a broadcaster per se to actually a content provider, right? I think a good example would be Apple, where a lot of us who started to use Apple when we were younger actually know Apple as a computer company, right? But today, if you ask millennial, they tell you something else. They're probably a phone company or a technology company, but they're not a computer company. And Astro, as an organization, has to evolve, and we will evolve to really face the new market. So hopefully, over the course of the discussion, we can share a little bit more about, how each of the panels, look at this and approach that from the respective fields. All right? Okay, that's all for me. Thanks.
Thank you, guys. So just to recap, just to give an overview, especially for those who have been here, not for the first time, because usually how we run Rise Talk is just a panel question, panel discussion followed by Q&A. But since this evening we'll be talking about selling experiences, we talk about how creative agencies can help brands design their marketing approach. We add a small segment called Brain Zap. So that's gonna come up after the panel question. So what happened is during this Brain Zap session is to demonstrate a day's life at work in creative agency. So we through Fazil, C27, which is representing the digital agency industry, and Joan, 360, representing the event side and on-ground activation. We through same brief, same product, and we get both of them to collaborate on how to work around or redesign a marketing campaign for one same single product. So stay tuned for that. But and having said that, let's start with the panel question. So let's talk about industry focus first. Let's talk a little bit on the surface. So I'm gonna ask this starting with Joan, yeah? So Joan, I came across an article featured on Forbes that says most consulting services like marketing are not scalable simply because they must be delivered by experts, creative people. And cloning experts is expensive or slow. Therefore, it's difficult to get investors in such startups or ventures. What's your take on this?
I think cloning is a very bad word. We don't like to use the word cloning because I think like any good business, right, it should be a collective of individual, very unique, different people who bring different strengths to the table, but they're all working towards the same goal. So that it's not one single person dependent, but a collective of people. I think that's what we should aim for in terms of it. Of course, we're talking about, we're actually partially investor funded, so this is actually a topic of our alley. Like all startups, right, even in the tech industry, you're going to need, investors are looking for something that's rather unique. Either you're something disruptive, or you've got a very special USP, or you invented some sort of methodology or some sort of technique. You're going to need something very special to stand out in order to look for investors, I suppose. And what I've learned, I think, throughout the course of the last 6 years, which I was hope there was a Rise Talk like this 6 years ago, it might have helped me a lot faster to raise funds. But I'm sharing this piece of information, which is one of the key learnings I've learned throughout the course of 360, right, is document every damn thing that you do from the start, from day one. Put pen to paper, forget the laptop, put pen to paper, and document everything. This includes your processes, your way you do things, right down to your behavior of how you should sit in your office. Just document everything. You put everything down in a proper documentation, right? It's a lot easier to take those documents and approach a bank or an investor. Because now, right, it's sort of like a product. It's something that with some sort of learning of somebody with some sort of capabilities can pick up the pace after you if you're not there. At least up to 70-80% with some sort of manual or a book or guideline or some sort of training. So it's not just a person-dependent thing where everything's in your head. And definitely you're not going to be able to raise any funds or find anybody interested in investing solely in one person. Yeah, I think that's about it.
All right, thanks, John. And what about you, Fazil, for a digital creative agency like C27? Is it, yeah?
Okay, I really like this question. Okay, I'm gonna answer your question in two parts. Okay, sorry guys, like when I tend to get excited, I tend to mumble. So this girl over here, she's gonna raise her hand when I mumble. So please forgive her. She's not crazy. So, first part is whether businesses like us, consultancy, whether it's essential, and basically how we manage to actually get a piece of pie from this business. Okay, so I think businesses like us, what we provide to businesses, okay, to complement their in-house marketing team is that we provide agility. Okay, agility in the sense that we are able to move, we are able to move very quickly. Okay, it's because like companies like us, our size compared to the businesses we serve is always quite minimal. Okay, in terms of ratio. So we provide the businesses with tools and expertise to actually move to basically move their products with creative ways, and in my case with the help of technology as well. So okay, that answers probably answers your first question. The second question about how valuation of a consultancy is always tied to a founder. Okay, yes, I agree that for businesses like us, we are not Facebook or Twitter, where the evaluation of your company is actually tied to your product. Okay, that's why. Okay, so sorry guys. Okay, so the example I'm trying to give is that, okay, what, like a company like Facebook, okay, why it's worth billions? Why it's worth billions is because your valuation is tied to your product. Okay, companies like me, the valuation is actually tied to the expertise of the founders. Okay, so our valuation will never reach the point of Facebook is because of that same very fact. Okay, but we still like companies like us still manage to get a piece of a pie, still manage to get a piece of a pie, and also like to tie back to my previous point, we provide businesses with a lot of services that they cannot do themselves. But that's why, like, if you take a look at McKinsey, who has turned over last year, McKinsey, by the way, is the biggest consultancy company in the world, okay, the most prestigious in the world. Last year, they turned over $9 billion, okay, $9 billion, okay, all right. But this company is they're based on based on methods and based on how experienced their founders are. So they're always kept at a certain level. But you see a company like Coke, okay, right, who last year turned over 55 billion. Okay, that's basically the gap. Okay, so I think my conclusion is that both sides of the table, everybody is still able to capture favorable market share. Okay, just probably if you actually look at it as like an investment, okay, it's actually I wouldn't say one is better than the other, but it's actually extremely different. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Gonna get back to you, Joan. So we see an insurgence of creative agencies over the last, over the recent years. From your perspective, being one of the industry experts, is this an indication that this sector is lucrative to venture into, or is it just a trending phase?
Any budding event company, anybody who's here who's looking towards to move into the events or advertising industry, or start up anything to do with the advertising or event industry? No. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's good. So, but yeah, I'll tell you, it's I won't lie. It's honestly, it is a very lucrative industry. That's why you see, as you mentioned, that there are a lot of agencies coming in. We go into a pitch tender today with 5 agencies, and tomorrow there's 7. But it's the same people who were there the last time, because one of them left and started up their own event agency. So it's the same faces, but they're all growing up into their own event agencies. So we have creative agencies coming in, and the pie is getting bigger. I think that's why we always tell everybody there's only one Sime Darby conglomerate. There's not going to be another one for another 10 years. But the scale of event companies and creative agencies growing is phenomenal, and everybody's vying for the same pie. So it is, yes, it is a very lucrative industry. The barriers to entry, well, at least from our industry, right, it's not very high. And I don't think it's a trending thing because the events world has been around for as long as I can remember. And I think it's still one of the most effective ways to market a product or service. So I think it's going to be here forever, and it'll probably just evolve and add a lot of things that, which we'll go into later on. I think that's going to make it slightly different. But the event world itself will continue for a very long time, and I think I foresee a lot more young people coming in with great ideas and starting up their own firms, and there'll be a lot more creative agencies in the market, I think.
Alright, cool. Again, Joan, knowing there's plenty of creative agencies in the market, right? What's your advice for brands or businesses looking to engage professional services from creative agencies?
Wow, did I offend you or something? Or is my voice very sexy that you want to keep hearing it? But yeah, that's going to be a very long list. We would have loved our clients to have provided us a lot more information and a lot better things for us to move forward. But if you're looking to engage a creative agency in the near future, you're on the right path, which means you're going to take your business or your startup to the next level already, because you're looking at delegating out certain aspects of the business that requires professional help. We can go into a long discussion about this, about the value and whatnot, but it is a professional service that we provide, and it is not a cheap service. So once you decide to go down that route, right, my advice would be to have, again, put it down pen to paper, your objectives and your goals that you wish to achieve, and one reasons why you are trying to engage professional creative help now. Once you have that down on paper, then you can look at it, and then you can go out and start looking for the right creative agency. 360 is a 100% referral agency, but my advice to non-event agency people is that recommendations are not always the best. You have to do your own homework, go out and meet the people. The profile alone is one thing, but I always advise friends and whatnot looking for creative agencies is to actually go out and meet the team that's going to be working with you. Get to know them. There must be some sort of chemistry. You've got to really like them, because they're going to be sort of like your business partners, and they're going to create something that's going to speak volumes about who you are and what your product is. So if you pick the wrong one, then it's all downhill. I think recently there was a couple of cases of some big brands, they launched a new product and a new logo, spent a couple $100 million, and then they have to take it down and change it because the feedback was bad. So stuff like that happens, and it's going to cost startups or SMEs a lot of money every time you change one creative agency. So yeah, I think that would be one of the key advices to actually get to know them. Creative agencies sell packaging, so be very careful. Always do a site visit. Go visit their offices. They may not be as big as they claim they are. They may not be as credible as I think some of them claim they are. So that happens in our industry. So I think visit their site. Yeah, I think that would be some of the advice. If you're talking about monetary spend wise, should we go into that subject, or is that another question?
We'll get to that later.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think that's the best advice.
Alright. What about you, Fazil? What would be your advice for businesses looking to engage professional services from the creative agencies?
Okay, so in my point of view, actually I can actually say okay, let me start with, I think, what's the problem that most businesses face, okay? I think what John mentioned just now about how important the why is, is actually quite interesting, because the main problem with businesses in this country is that they don't understand that. Okay, they don't understand the why you are doing this. Okay, so it's proven time and time again. If you look at really big companies, when you look at really big companies, they always have their why is usually very solid. Okay, because everybody knows what you do, which is the product you sell. Everybody knows how you do it, which is your USP. Okay, so a lot of people forgot about the why. Okay, like if you take Apple and Samsung, you put next to each other, they sell similar products. Let's take the phone sector here. So they sell similar products with smartphones. They have similar USBs. Both of them are 4G enabled, and high definition screens. But how does Apple sell their products? Okay, right? Apple's why is we want to challenge the status quo. Okay, right? And usually so the thing that Apple and Samsung shares is the what. We sell smartphones. How is that we make it beautifully designed and user friendly. So what Apple does, which has an edge over Samsung, is that you have an ad with Steve Jobs walking in. We challenge the status quo. How? By selling products that are beautifully designed and user friendly. And then the what? We just happen to make phones. So you see, like once you explain the why to people, okay, everything makes sense. It's because it's very primal. People act based on reason. Okay, so when people buy, based on my experience, how I've seen businesses that people tend to buy why you do it, not really what you do. Okay, so when it comes to actually engaging creative help, especially in the local sector, like what John has actually brought up, like most creative agencies you actually have to do your own homework with creative agencies. And I can tell you how I can't really emphasize on the importance of the brief you give those creative agencies if you were actually to engage one. Okay, so to actually extract the value you want from creative agencies is that you need to give them a proper brief of what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. And it usually starts with why are you doing this? Why are you selling cupcakes? Why are you selling contact lenses in the first place? Okay, this is very important for your agencies and yourself to understand, for you to actually achieve your goals. So yeah.
All right, thanks, Fazil. Gary, from client's perspective, you are in the position of hiring and firing digital creative agencies, to design your marketing campaign. So, what would be your advice?
Okay. My advice is the reason why Astro is expensive because this kind of agency is charging $2 okay? Just kidding, okay? Yes, it's a lucrative business, right? Look at that. Well, incidentally, I have, changed agencies about 2 to 3 times, in the past 3 years. And in some sense, related to a smaller setup, Astro's need for such services is inevitable, right? Because the kind of business that we run, we do need specialized help, synergy, okay, to really cater to the different aspect of our business, okay. As far as that need, it's pretty much in place, okay. That moves to the next step is what are the criteria that we look for, or the agency's selection criteria that we look for in an agency. I'm with Fazil in some aspects. Can you hear me? Okay. Obviously, cost is always a factor, but even for an organization our size, right? But I never let that be a factor for me in terms of selection agency. Creativity can come from anywhere, and we value that because that is something that for us, especially in such a market, really makes us stand out. And on that context of what Fazil relate about, the primal core of a creative, what we call it, the conceive of a creative force is that we don't need an agency that is specialized in a certain field. Let me give you an example. We have used certain digital agencies for about 2 years now, and they've been excellent for us, right? In terms of delivering optimization, in terms of understanding the digital landscape, and at the same time deliver quite excellent creative work. And they're not even digital agency per se, right? Because you have so much digital agencies out there who claim to be specialized in the digital sphere, which could not probably do half as good a job as what my current agency is doing, mainly because the essence of the values that this creative agency has in delivering creative work. All right, really, it's platform agnostic. It doesn't matter. It's digital or it's on ground or it's above the line. It applies across. Okay, obviously, it's a lot harder for you to look at how do I find these agencies in how do I determine whether these agencies are this good or how do we find this quality in the agency? Because agency would claim credit more than they deserve, and that's often the case. So yeah, like John did, right? And that's why we got trapped with them. So it's I don't have specific answers for you, to be honest. I got to know agencies through referral. But a lot of mess is, again, back to brief as well. I think please do not underestimate that the importance of working with agencies. Agencies do not take brief with you. In fact, they perhaps should develop the brief with you, if you know what I mean. Understanding a particular problem, again, understanding the business, and perhaps even be part of the brief making or drafting. Okay, I know this is a bit drastic in saying that clients should always come up with a brief, but if agencies understand enough of the business, the problems they're facing, they can be part of the brief. Because I just understand it, engaging the agencies, you should treat them as your internal team, not as an extension, really as something symmetrical. Essentially, like I said, I look for that all-encompassing creative thinking, and that does not necessarily mean that I need to focus just on one area. Just to give an example, is that 360 being an on-ground activation agency is also doing some creative work for us on non-on-ground related matters. So for me, just because they position themselves as more on ground doesn't mean that they don't have that creative ability to deliver on a broader scale. Right. That's my thought. Thanks.
All right, thanks. So, before I move on to the next question, how many startups or SMEs do we have in this hall tonight? Can I see some show of hands? All right, cool. So I'm pretty sure after listening to the some of the questions, you might be thinking like, yeah, right, these guys got deep pockets to spend on marketing dollars, right? Which you guys probably don't. So let me start with Joan. Sorry, Joan, I'm gonna pick on you again. For businesses like startups or SMEs, right? For businesses on a shoestring budget, what's your advice to them for designing a cost-efficient yet simple and effective marketing campaigns to engage their brands with consumers? It can be digital or on grounds.
I think that's kind of subjective because his shoelaces are slightly longer than mine. So if you're talking about shoestring budget, I think he's got a bigger budget than me. But yeah. So, just the shoelaces only. It really depends on because it's a very broad thing on marketing and events and advertising, but it really depends on who you want to talk to, who you want your brand to talk to. I think that will determine a lot on where your marketing spend is going to be or how much it's going to cost you. I think for shoestring budget wise, the first thing you need to do is again put pen to paper, draft down what problem your product or service solves. From there, you can list down a very detailed characteristic map of your ideal customer or target audience first, before you even start thinking about marketing or events or social media or whatnot, because it might not even work. But once you start drafting as detailed a characteristic of your customer map as possible, you'll actually notice, right, that your ideal customers might just be within your circle of friends. But you have to get down to very, very detailed, right down to where they hang out, what they spend on, what they normally do on weekends. You find out what color underwear they wear, even better. Make it as detailed and as broad a customer map as possible, and then you'll be able to find little points where you'll be able to target your marketing spend. It doesn't really cost a lot of money. To be honest, people like us, we do pro bono work. for a lot of SMEs and other startups. So if there's a win-win situation for the product to work with us, then sometimes we can help you out as well. I always believe that if you don't ask, the answer will always be no. So if you're looking at advertising agencies, if you go to the big boys with their $100 million turnover or their $10 million overhead, they're not going to help you. But if you look at the medium to smaller ones, if you don't ask, a lot of them actually do pro bono work. There's also something what we do, which is a partnership sort of arrangement with some of our clients, whereby we help you promote your product, but in turn we also promote ourselves. So it really depends on who you're trying to speak to and what sort of product you're doing. Then you can look for the right agencies who are willing to help you in those aspects. My colleague also just mentioned to me earlier that some of the agencies now are practicing, we haven't used this method yet, but they go by a KPI-based reward system. So which means, for example, if you want to launch your startup, which is an app, and you need the help of an event agency to do that press launch for you, it might cost in actual fact 30 to 50,000 to do a press conference, but they're only going to charge you, say, 10,000 ringgit. But if you reach X amount of reach, for example, you got 20 publications to come, social media reach 1 million views, etc., agreed KPIs, then you have to pay them the full fee. So there is that sort of arrangement that you can work on as well, which helps you save a lot of money, because then it's an agreed KPI and an agreed sum. If the agency doesn't deliver, you don't pay, or you pay less. If the agency delivers beyond your KPI, then you pay the full sum. So that's in the industry now as well. But yeah, these are a few things we can explore. I think partnerships, co-branding, and then of course this pro bono work and KPI-based performance evaluation, I suppose.
So it's back to collaborating with another SME or startups, yeah?
Either collaborating with another SME or startup, or you can collaborate with creative agencies. I think there's quite a handful of creative agencies now that are willing to collaborate and help move startups forward. If it benefits them in terms of exposure or some form of benefit that they can use the product as well.
All right. What about you, Fazil? What's your take on this?
Okay, coming from a digital background, I cannot really emphasize like the importance of targeting, identifying your target market at an extremely detailed level. Okay, are there any internet startups here?
Internet startups?
Yeah, internet startups. Okay, cool. So, like I mentioned earlier, I was with Rocket Internet for 2 years at the infancy stage when we had 6 people, and I left the company when it was 1,000 men strong. So, why it grew so fast? Is because of something very simple. We have a philosophy back when we were working at Rocket where our objective is to identify a target market, okay, a very niche target market at the very start, and keep selling to them for a very long time. Try our best to basically keep selling to this target market for long term. Okay, so I have a few examples on actually how how we did it. Okay, so alright, so I was basically in charge of visual content and creative content and basically content for each and every single product on the website. Okay, so what happened was this. Okay, there was this item. It was a skirt. Okay, it was a skirt. So what happened was, like, we actually it actually had one of the highest return rates ever across all our 25,000 items in the store. Okay, so people were buying it. It was nice. Okay, it was nice. So like a lot of girls were actually buying it. But what we didn't understand was why was this particular item kept on being returned. And then we thought to ourselves, okay, so let's investigate why. Okay, so after a few calls, nobody picked up our phones. You know, at the time, I think we were still growing, so not a lot of people knew about us and didn't really recognize the numbers and everything. But what we realized is that after doing a lot of research, okay, so on the website, it said the material was PU leather. Okay, all right. So a lot PU leather. So what happened was that somebody said, hey, nobody understands what PU letter means. I was like, oh, okay, let's change maybe to artificial letter. So that's what we did, we changed it to artificial letter. But the item still keeps getting returned. Okay, it was clearly stated for the same reasons, because when you return an item as lorry, you actually state the reason. So we actually tracked the reasons why, and most of it were coming is because of it's because they said that, oh, it's not the material I thought it was, but hey, we were very clear. We said it's artificial leather. Okay, and then we realized, oh my God, these guys, they do not understand English. And what did they tell us? Most of our customers were actually of Malay race from rural areas. Okay, so that's actually very interesting study that we didn't know, because we knew internet access was limited. Okay, internet access was limited, and there were very few English speakers there, and our website at the time was purely in English. But it was just by this particular item that was returned because I didn't know it was leather. They actually told us what our biggest market segment was. See, it was just something very simple as that. So what we did straight after that, we translated our entire website to Bahasa. So right now, Zalora actually has a dual language capabilities. Once we did that, 2 months later, revenues exploded by 300%. Okay, and return rates dropped by 50% for that particular category. It's because that particular category, apparently a lot of the language that we use for the materials were actually quite technical and not very clear. So back to my point. Okay, it's basically trying to identify who your target market is, and with technology, that's actually very easy to do. Okay, I'm not saying it takes you overnight. Okay, I'm saying that it might take a long time for you to find it, but once you find it, I can rest assured your business will explode. Okay, I can even cite you other findings that I found. Probably most of you that probably will go into the retail or online retail sector will find this useful. I can tell you that that Malaysians prefer to look at Caucasian models. Okay, they buy dresses based on how the model looks like, and the model needs to be Caucasian, not blonde. They don't like blondes. Okay, Singaporeans tend to buy dresses. Singaporeans tend to buy dresses when we shoot it on an Asian model. Okay, right? My conclusion at that point, although I might seem a little bit crazy, is because they like to see, they are very Singaporean. They like to see that their clothes are being worn of a girl by the same with the same frame size. Okay, that's why the conversion was better. But you put that into a Malaysian context. Why do we like to see Caucasian 6 feet tall runway Caucasian models wearing budget clothes? Why would we do something like that? Okay, that actually told me a huge insight about how the key difference between Malaysian and Singaporean market. Basically Singaporeans are a little bit more practical. Malaysians are very aspirational. Okay, we buy dreams. We don't buy a skirt. We buy because we want to look like that model in the skirt. Really, who can tell me? Which girl here can tell me I'm wrong? Okay, you buy dreams, you buy aspirations, you don't buy products. Okay, right? So, thanks. So, okay, the other interesting insight I've uncovered is that when you're actually selling Muslim-based products, when you're actually targeting Muslims, you need to be extremely sensitive towards different types of traditions. I mean, people's traditions and beliefs. Okay, and of course, you have to be extremely conservative. Like for example, Zalora sells all kinds of products, right? So when we actually opened a Muslimah section, it did very well. Everything was selling. Like we even had Jovian Mendagi coming on board, and we actually sold. There was one particular item, okay, that with 600 stock costing 400 ringgit per piece. That marketing was meant to go out at 9 a.m. Items went live at 3 a.m. Okay, so when I put the items live at 3 a.m. with zero marketing, right, within 1 hour, right, 600 items were sold out. We didn't even know how they found out about it. 600 items sold out in 1 hour. Okay, gathering in about 180,000 ringgit worth of revenue. 1 hour. Okay, back to my point about targeting certain demographics. I can tell you that when we experimented, okay, when you sell Muslimah clothes online, okay, what happened was because we also sold other products, okay, when we have a catalog for, let's say a sale catalog, right, there are no categories. It means you can see shoes, sports shoes, hats, shirts in one page, okay. When there's a Muslimah items, so let's say it was mostly populated by Muslimah items, right, okay. If you have one picture with a Brazilian model in a bikini, the person will close your window within 3 seconds. Flat.
Is it because it's offensive?
It is. That was our conclusion.
Among the demographic,
Yeah, conclusion. That was our conclusion. It's because it's extremely offensive. And what happened after that? We actually created algorithms that actually prevented things from this happening. So let's say if a Muslimah, we actually at root level create categories to basically segregate all items that if you have like anything that's any products that's not very modest, I would say, they're not very modest, it will never appear next to a product that's aimed at Muslims. Yeah. Okay. See things like that, very very detailed things that we can actually derive from just by looking at a bunch of numbers. Okay. So yeah, I think so for me, for especially online retail businesses, it's very very important for you to identify your target market at a very very early stage. Yeah.
All right. Fazil, so like based on your 2 cents worth of sharing and your background, both past and present, so your present specifically, your agencies run digital marketing campaigns, right? Where majority of audience are millennials. This group of people are very tech savvy. They know where to look for the trigger button, unlike the older generations. So how do you ensure your marketing campaigns also reaches out to the other groups who are not so tech savvy?
Okay, I've been asked this question a lot of times. My simple answer is I disagree because it's not 1995. Okay, we are 2014. In the past 14 years, we went from Nokia 8250 or whatever, non-colored screens, to be able to Google any single piece of information anywhere you are, from your fingertips. Okay, from your fingertips, anywhere you are. It is in 14 years. Okay, everyone's connected. Everyone's connected right now. Okay, I do not think that the media is important. I think people should look more towards the medium. Okay, it's not about to targeting in that specific demographic. It's not about what kind of ads you run. Okay, it's where you run those ads. Okay, it's because like I can tell you that even people from a little bit more mature demographic, they're still connected. Why? It's because it's really human nature to not be left behind. And I can tell you that in Malaysia right now, online penetration for that specific demographic is at a rise. Okay, we've run ads, operated campaigns for that specific demographic. They were deeply successful only because we were extremely careful in the places we run those ads. Okay, I do not believe that old people don't get Facebook. No, I do not believe that. All right. Okay, it's in my nature not to believe that. It's because I'm from this country. I choose not to believe that. Okay, my dad has an iPad. My grandma knows how to play Angry Birds. Okay, so it's basically things like that. Everyone's connected right now. Okay, and once you are connected to the internet, it's a level playing field. Okay, so it doesn't matter who you are or how old you are. It's basically just like tying back to my first very point. It's always like to be able to engage a specific demographic you want. It's always the why. The why always catches people. Yeah.
So it's more on the UI. Okay, thanks. Juan, without the intention of getting you and Fazil to catfight, digital marketing is becoming more prevalent these days. How do you make your business stood the test of time and remain market relevant without changing your core business? For instance, going digital, because yours is rather on ground, offline.
I think before that we need to just cheer Gary up a bit. He looks rather bored.
We'll get Gary's perspective from the clients.
And what's Juan's obsession with pen and paper? Man? Seriously?
Yeah, I'm from that generation of OHPC. We used to write Chonting on the slide and put it there and turn on the last spotlight so that people could see it. It didn't have PowerPoint. But yeah, that's a very good point. Like I mentioned earlier, I think, not what I think, but I think statistically, the most effective way to convince someone to buy a product specific is for them to physically interact and touch it. At the end of the day, right, if you're holding something and you feel the texture, you smell it, you actually play with the features that it so-called claims to have online, but you actually see it happen before your eyes, plus the soft tones of a very beautiful, enthusiastic, well-trained salesperson, right, you're sold. That's a guaranteed sale. So as long as, I think once, if all your senses are engaged at once, right, it's very easy to close the deal. And that's why communication-wise, right, at the end of the day, requires verbal, tonal, visual. So you still need to engage multiple sensory to close the sale. And so as long as that part of the human brain exists, I think on-ground campaigns will still be prevalent. Having said that though, we cannot ignore the rise of the digital world and young talents like Mr. Fazil Fuad here. So we've had to innovate a bit. We're not moving away from the core business of still providing these on-ground services, but what we're trying to do is move towards creating a bridge, working with people like C27, where we can create a bridge between the off and online world. I think that's where we are moving towards, where an on-ground interaction creates an online reaction. I think that's one of the key factors now if we are to move forward in this new millennium. That's something we're exploring, and I think C27 is going to help us out, hopefully after this. But yeah, that's the plan. And I think what we've also been looking at is, I think we don't mind sharing with everybody, is that everything is measurable now, especially with the digital world. Everybody's talking about big data and measuring stuff. And on-ground campaigns-wise, there's been very minimal measurement. And that's something we're moving towards. Besides bridging the gap between the offline and online world, is we're going to make our on-ground campaigns highly measurable and trackable, exactly like they are from a website or from a digital app.
Thanks. Gary, from client side, client's perspective, what's your view on this? Do you see there's more results coming from digital marketing or on grounds, specifically in the case of Astro?
Okay, I'm going to take this topic on a more strategic level and looking at product from Astro's point of view. It is an integrated multi-platform environment right now we're living in, right? Not just in the communications field, in terms of engaging audience, but it's also the behavior of very customers consuming content in Astro, where currently we're looking at consumers with multi-screens, looking at watching television and engaging on the iPads and listening to songs and doing something else. Okay, so data itself in nature is that related to what John's mentioning, customers are looking for, we get distracted a lot easier these days. And for me, from a communications point of view, there's nothing that works in silo. Okay, it's essential that we marry those two. On ground, in terms of digital, I just want to touch a little bit on the shoestring topic. It's not because I didn't have a chance, just because we're Astro doesn't mean that we're gonna look at the shoestring stuff. We're still fairly, how would I say, economical compared to the FMCGs and the telcos. Okay, so in that sense, digital actually is something that we look at to really bring a cost acquisition, because it's extremely targeted and scalable, right? The amount of people we can reach is tremendous, and the cost to serve. getting customer to do self-serve, okay, and that can only happen through the digital platform, and that eventually will bring down their cost. You know, we as a business, not just in the communications field, but as a business. So that's why I want to talk about strategic level. Every aspect of the business, Astro is looking at integrating whatever we're doing physically and marrying with digital. I think this is inevitable, right? And if you look at a lot of internet startups these days as well, we're looking at physical service with the element of digital, you know, like taxi apps and other stuff. They're basically taking an existing on-ground service and mirror it digital and do it successfully, right? Seamlessly and obviously extremely disruptive, but it works. It does work, you know. So don't confine that to just communication thought, but I think it's extremely essential that hybrid thinking, you know, about making things integrated should apply to every aspect of your business.
All right, thanks. So, we've heard the wise words from these guys. Anyone has questions, please hold on to those, because before we get down to Q&A, as promised, we're gonna have. So, you guys know we have these creative guys. It wouldn't be fair to just ask them questions, you know. We actually threw them, as I earlier mentioned, we threw both of them a challenge. And so, how many of you guys have seen these biscuits? Does it ring a bell? Yeah. Show some hands. Damn. Simple question, alright? Coffee's on me. What's the name of this biscuit? Serious? No, okay, no name? Anyone?
No, it's just biscuits.
So, see, here's the ironic thing. Everybody knows this thing. Everybody knows this.
Yes. Yes,
But
it is.
okay,
It was.
that's a specific name
It
actually.
was.
Yeah, it's called ice jam biscuits. So see, this thing it jives well with our mind. Yet we do not know what it's called or even who's the company behind it. So we got these guys, Fazil and Juan, to help us to show you guys how they help redesign marketing campaign so that people like us start remembering their name or their brand. So here's the brief challenge that we gave to each 360 and C27. So the whole purpose is to get them help rebrand this thing. How would they rebrand? Collaterals, visual communication, look and feel, target audience. Who are their intended target audience for this marketing campaign? How would they help market this brand? And yep, I'm gonna pass the floor to Joan and Fazil.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stand because
Yep, sure.
I'm quite used to OHPs where I can see my notes. So if you don't mind, let's take it a little bit casual, just stand. Yeah, when they threw us the brief, right, we emphasized earlier how important a brief is to work with your agency. Now, I have to say, right, that Rise gave us one of the worst briefs ever. Ever. If they were a client, we would have walked away already. But because they weren't a client, right, we said, okay, never mind, let's just put something together as fast as we can. So we got in touch with C27, we got in touch together and we said that because now it's like Gary mentioned, it's an omni-channel world now. That it can't be one silo. And if I was to work on one marketing angle, you'll be heavily leaning towards on-ground campaigns. And that will be deemed ineffective to actually move this brand forward. And if C27 had worked on it, vice versa, it would have been solely a very digital-based campaign. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to buy the biscuits as well. So we got in touch and we said that let's just put our ideas together and see if we can come up with one very quick campaign together. So yeah, if you're going to disagree with anything that you see here, right, please feel free to voice it out after. We will put the blame on the client like we always do. It is always the client's fault for not giving very clear objectives. So yeah, a bit of a background, right? like Azizu mentioned, actually, before he gave us this brief, we really didn't know what that biscuit was called. It's actually called Ice Gems, and it's being manufactured by a company called Guangguan Sdn Bhd. I think the information's there. It's been around since the 1940s, and it's sold everywhere, but nobody really knows who they are, what they've been doing, or where they come from.
Yeah, I guess that was the problem that we're trying to solve. That nobody actually knows. Actually, these biscuits, you can see in any Kedai Runcit, they're always the same brand, but nobody actually knows who the brand actually is.
Okay, so yeah, they gave us this Ice Gem biscuit brief, and they actually sent us some pictures and told us like, look, just rebrand this biscuit. And we're like, okay. So we had to find some information behind them, and it's been around so long that after you fast forward, right, since the 1940s until now, it still remained the same, and it's still a childhood memory for most of us who have eaten it. And it's not something that, I mean, it's lasted the test of time, so it's got a working model. But if we were to take it, say, to Australia or to London, for example, right, I think you might have a lot of problem trying to get someone to buy it or convince them that it's edible. Because really, it does look very unhealthy. It looks like a lot of sugar. And it's packaged in that rusty tin that today, right, when I was a kid, I used to love it. But now when I look at it, I'm like, is it safe to makan? Makan ni later I need to go take tetanus jab. So yeah, but so how do we get these little things to be the next big thing, not only in Malaysia but internationally as well? So that was what the question that rise through to us. But going international wise, I think every market requires a different approach. So for discussion purposes, right, we picked somewhere in the London continent towards Europe. Basically, what we're going to be sharing with you a little bit of strategy, right, is to reposition the brand, the product itself, and then we want to rebrand it as well because now really nobody knows what it's even called. And then of course there will be some activation campaigns to get people to buy the product. So I think we'll pass on to Fazil on who we're going to be talking to for the purpose of discussion only.
Okay, so we want to make it a little bit challenging. So we actually decided to actually bring this product to the UK, to kids basically aged 5 to 15. Okay, and what are their traits? Their traits are basically internet and gadget savvy, and very basically have very high tendency to follow trends. Okay. No? Okay, so our rebranding exercise. So we actually picked a persona, which is Pai Mei. Pai Mei is basically the kung fu master of from movies like Kill Bill Volume 2. Okay, but we just wanted to emulate his look. We're not actually emulating any qualities that he has because he is a kung fu master, and we are actually marketing it to kids. So we didn't want to inspire any sense of violence or anything towards the kids, because we actually had the idea of like, oh, we should do a campaign where everybody should learn, all the kids should learn how to protect their iGem biscuits like Pai Mei. But no, that would just instill a sense of violence with the kids. So we scrapped that. So what we were going with is that the essence of we went with the real essence of Pai Mei. So the fact that he's Oriental. Okay, it's because when we are actually marketing to the Western market, okay, we can't say he's it's actually quite risky for us to say if he's Malaysian or Japanese or Taiwanese. Okay, we just generalized it and said, oh, he is of Oriental descent. Okay, it's because after all we're marketing to a very young demographic. Okay.
Yeah, so we had to look for something that was rather ambiguous, that the Masalis or the Kuala would be able to understand and very easily associate it with a very old heritage, culturally historical brand that's truly exotically Asian. So that's why we had to come up with something like this, where it would be very easy for people to associate with it.
So we not only give it a fresh new look, we actually give it a new name as well. We call it Master Guan's Ice Gems. Okay, so what the story behind this is basically, like I said, we were actually going to take a very general take on the ethnicity of Kongguan. Okay, the ethnicity of Kongguan, and how we are actually generalizing it is basically calling him Master Guan. So we're actually labeling him as a very wise man. Okay, like someone everybody can follow, or a persona where everything he says is law. things like that. So yeah, can we go next slide? Okay, so these are basically our other options for the logo, but we decided to go to the first one as we thought it was the most friendliest. I don't know, it evoked a sense of friendliness, and it just made the brand extremely approachable in a sense. Can you go next slide? Okay, so John, you wanna?
Oh, yeah. Going back again, right? The reason why we chose Master Guan as well was because Kong Guan doesn't sound as appealing as it does, and Master Guan's Ice Gem, right, gives us legs to expand to further products if we choose to launch in Europe again. So from there, right, once we establish the brand of Master Guan's Ice Gems, we can then move into Master Guan's chocolate cookies or Master Guan's so and so. You know, if we bring layer cake there, it will be Master Guan's layer cake in London. But so that the intention was that we were going to launch one time. Let's make the brand stick. It's a sticky name, Master Guan, easy to remember. And then from there we can expand on to other products in future if the client chose to move on. The activation campaign, right? Well, something we've learned, I think, from the tobacco industry actually is that if you seed something early enough at an age, it will stick. So sadly, the tobacco industry does do unethical promotions to the younger generation. But so
That's really dark. That's quite dark.
yeah, but okay, no. But yeah, so as early as you can get it to them, right, the better it will stick and the longer. It's like how we're associating with Ice Gems from our young childhood days. And if you see it or you smell it or you taste it, you know it's Ice Gem. And it invokes memories of your childhood or your youth. So we want to seed it very early in London. One of the simplest ways to do it, of course, is without having to convince people to buy anything, is to give it out free. So we partner up with schools, with institutions, daycare centers, places where parents feel safe. So once that place is safe, the product that you inject in there, right, is going to be safe. Because that's their assumption. They're going to go to a daycare center or an education center, and they're educating my children, which means they're going to be giving them an education. And if the food is being served there, it should technically be healthier, safe for children's consumption. So that's where we want to kickstart and start seeding it through schools like this. Another thing we looked at was also Kidzania UK. Kidzania is a phenomenal thing that happened in the last few years. I think we've been following them a fair bit because it's amazing, really an amazing platform. And it is one of the best, I think, neural marketing strategies ever, where they targeted children from a very, very young age. And they're going to be very loyal to those brands that are inside Kidzania for the rest of their lives. And to get into Kidzania costs anything close to 1.5 million for a brand just to be inside Kidzania. So all the big brands in the world now understand that marketing to children at a very early age is a very critical success factor, sustainable success factor. And that's where we're trying to mimic as much of that as possible. So I think going back to digital.
Okay, so we came up with a digital mechanic on how to inspire repeat sales. Okay, so how do you get in a digital context? How do you actually get users to actually spend a substantial amount of engagement with your product? Okay, right now what's proven to be the most effective way is games. Okay, so kids don't work other than going to school. They're at home. They're at home most of the time. So what we thought about is that what if in every single packet of Master Guan Ice Gem biscuits, there's actually a token where that it comes with a code where it is actually redeemable in a digital world. So let's say we release this game. One thing I gotta admit, it's a little bit realistic. This will probably cost millions of dollars, and Kongdao will probably just probably just tell us to walk away. Okay, but we're just gonna shoot for the sky for this second. So basically, how the game works is that it's a tower defense mechanic. Okay, so to be able to earn points, okay, you need to buy Ice Gem biscuits and actually redeem tokens from their packaging. Okay, so basically whatever you get from that is basically converted into digital currency that you can actually use within the game. Okay, so it's basically build empires funded by gem mines and players to protect. And basically we actually get players to protect their gems as well. So gems to buy gem towers to protect their gems. So the mechanics are pretty simple. So yeah. Okay, so we can have exclusive retail partner tie-ups. So let's say seasonal limited tokens that award players with gem abundance. Say for 1 week period, we have exclusive Tesco tokens exclusive parking tokens. This will actually generate a lot more leads by partnering with companies that actually guarantee lots of footfall and actually lots of sales. Basically, diversifying your sales and marketing channels.
Yeah, the back end of that is that your Master Guan or Kongguan will look like it's heavily supporting its vendors and retailers by providing them this exclusive promotion that runs for a week. So that should see a sudden surge in sales throughout the week as people chase that exclusive tokens that we're going to inject into certain retailers as we go along the way. Ignore the ice truck, but the ice cream truck was for fun. But what we're looking at is because Asian products, right, have this tendency to be linked very closely with China, and China doesn't have a very good reputation for anything now, besides some beautiful women ending up in Malaysia, but they don't have a reputation for anything good now. Anything mass-produced in China isn't doing very well. So we want to try and move these little not so healthy drops of sugar, right, away from that being associated with mass-produced dirty factories in China that are turning out millions of biscuits every hour. So what we want to do is we want to, through a sort of like an experiential platform, right, is to get kids to make their own ice gems. So we make it sort of like, we take this mass-produced biscuit to a little bit more of an artisan level, where people can actually work with the icing, create their own custom icing, their own flavors, maybe learn how to make their own biscuits, and then create their own ice gems. So you can label it your own name for you, and you just give it that little bit of that extra edge, just to separate it from what China is turning out every minute of the day. Yeah, I think that was all we could put together with the brief that was given, so very quickly, I think.
Thank you. What do you guys think?
Great.
Well, I think you should ask our clients whether it's impressed or not.
I think it's a lot to do with the brief, right?
Yep. Blame the client, blame the brief. So, we are now entering the Q&A. We're opening up the floor for Q&A. If anyone has any questions to our featured panelists. All right, cool.
Hi. So good evening to the panelists. Before I actually ask questions, right, I want to thank Arif for actually bringing me out. So actually, I'm Jerry from GetDog. But let me clarify, the GetDog, right, is actually not the dog, D-O-G. It's actually the D-O-C. So it's the GetDog whereby we actually have platforms to connect the patients to the doctors. Imagine the platforms whereby, think of us like the MyTaxi in MyNichols. So imagine the platforms where you can actually search the nearby doctors, no matter it's the clinics or hospitals, to select them and even book them online instantly. To save you time to wait and queue in the clinic itself when you're sick. Okay, so do check us out because we're actually launching soon in this week, I think these 2 days. So it's a getdoc.my. It's a getdoc.my. Okay, thank you. So my question is, I do feel very impressed on the credentials that you guys have. My question is like back days, right, when you actually just started, I think like 7 years and also like 2 years back, what's the method or strategies or maybe tricks, right, for you to actually get those like corporate clients like Macy's, Astro, Cellcom, even like you say the top 500 companies, right? Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with your launch. I'm sure it's going to be a very good app to use. I'm going to download the app as soon as it launches because I had trouble getting a spot in a clinic recently. I actually had to drive around and find another clinic.
Is there a it's a signal for us to collaborate?
Maybe. maybe. But yeah, good question. It was tough, I won't lie. We started 7 years ago with not much money in our pockets, and we were fortunate enough to have one client read one of our email bombs. Before we actually opened the doors, right, I spent about a week just sending out emails to random clients all over. It was fortunate that one client decided to open it. And back then, in those days, we had a bit of an angle. Because we were small, if we were to say that we did all events, nobody would have given us the time of the day. So we lean more towards a very niche market of being sort of like motorsports events, which was a very small market back then, but it opened the door to Perodua because they were looking for a motorsport related event to happen. So happened within that 1 year, and we got that first break. And once we landed Perodua, immediately we changed our business model. We were no longer a motorsports event company, we were a general events company. So we needed that first break. It was very hard to convince clients. I won't lie to you, but I won't lie to you now that back then we told a lot of lies. Which is why I earlier on I advise everybody to make sure you go and visit the companies that you're going to work with. Because we were a 3-man team, but in the eyes of our clients, we were probably 15, 20-man team operating from a massive warehouse in Sungai Buloh, and we had, heaps of stuff. And we were internationally exposed. True to a certain degree, because I used to work with another event company that had some international jobs. But we used those profiles personally from the founders and put it into our company to make it appear as big as it is. I won't ask you to go out and lie, but I will put it as the truth well told. I think that's McCann Erickson's tagline. Don't lie, but just exaggerate the truth a little bit. So if you exaggerate a little bit, right, there is still substance to it. Because when someone comes down to grilling you, or it comes down to push comes to shove, and someone actually has to talk to you about it, right, you're not actually going to lie, because that's going to be very hard. But you can actually tell the truth because it was real. It's just slightly inflated a little bit, but that does help you get through the door a bit. Especially in today's world, I think it's getting even harder for people without credentials or without some sort of connection or a cable, as they call it, right, to be able to move forward in a lot of things. So it's getting more and more competitive now. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, Fazil?
Well, I gotta say I did a lot of things that I wasn't really proud of as well. Okay, but like what John said, like although he said like you need to exaggerate the truths, but I think the main trick is getting into the door first. Okay, so for what getting into the door and basically making sure that they have a need for you to actually enter the door. So what we did a couple of things. Okay, number one is we waited for certain market crashes. For example, I knew that because I had an unfair advantage as I knew how big Zalora was in the market. So they were actually killing off because of the ease of use. In terms of you just buy online and then it comes to you directly. Okay, so we knew they were just going to grow bigger. Okay, so one of our first clients was basically KWC, Kenanga Wholesale City. Okay, we knew these guys were coming in, and we knew like a lot of other shops were coming up. So it was actually affecting this kind of businesses that are similar. So we went to KWC. Okay, we knew where the office was. We just knocked on the door and said, hey, okay, these guys are coming in. These guys are coming in. I think you guys will need a proper digital footprint right now. Okay, because you guys need right now. Nobody knows you're in the market. Okay, in the internet, you need to make a proper footprint. That's number one. Okay, and also I guess having the humility to actually find the correct people, knowing where the correct people are, okay, and finding them. Okay, so so my girlfriend's for example, my girlfriend's a musician. Okay, recently Red Bull released this initiative called Red Bull Music Academy, and I wanted Red Bull as my client. Okay, so what I did was when she was performing, right, there was the marketing director of Red Bull actually giving out her business cards to all the musicians trying to network. So I knew about that. I saw that happening. So when we left, we went to another place. When she went to the toilet, she left me her handbag. So I just took the name card and just blasted her an email. And then next thing you know, I got an appointment. Not with her. Probably she's just referring me, trying to be nice, referring me to one of her subordinates, and that person's probably going to reject me. But hey, I got into the door. Okay, so yeah, it's not so much about convincing them. I think you should focus, because I'm pretty sure if you're at that position in the first place, you have there's always the possibility of you winning over the client. But always focus on getting into the door first. Yeah, so that's why I think
Thanks.
Can I just add? I know I don't come from a startup background. It's really you do a startup. And Fazil, why do you say you have to go find? There are a lot of pretty girls here. All right, so this is pretty long, man. You know, in that sense, because they are more of a client base where your client is mass, right? I think what you're thinking is possibly investment opportunities, you know, knocking on investor doors and how you get that. I believe all startups like you have probably an exit strategy in mind somewhere along the line. So I think there's a reason why you chose that particular space, right? Focus on doing building a good product and finding that space. And you know what problems you're solving, right? I think it's very niche here, and you're smart enough to think that there's an opportunity. I think that itself is already a big step, and keep sharpening that because I don't foresee that that's it's not a high it's not a low barrier for entry. I'm not sure, all right? So for me, like I said, focus on the basics, right? Developing a good product, and if I read some of some great startup stories, is that they actually go out and scour for potential synergy of investors and mentors. Into the sense of knocking their doors, writing emails to them, what Joanne did. But I think in your sense, it's a little bit different, and had similar success. So it's a combination of that. You know, don't lose sight of what you're doing right now. I think you found a really good space, right? If you do it right, I think it'll fall into place. Yeah.
Okay, like when I was mentioning market crashes earlier on, here's another example. So recently there was a recent oil crash. I'm pretty sure everyone knows it. Okay, and that's how we managed to actually capitalize on that was like this, okay, right? And also another point I want to make is that don't underestimate the people you meet. Whether they come from an industry that's super not related to you or that you don't need a certain type of service, don't underestimate the people you meet. Like for me, I had a case where once that I was having a couple of drinks with this guy from back really damn when I just started. I had this I knew of this guy from a higher, I think it was a HR agency. I think it was a recruitment agency. Sorry, it was a recruitment agency. And I was like, okay, he's a nice guy and everything, but I probably wouldn't be doing business with him because I'm still a small company. Yeah. So what happened was like the next time I was having drinks with him, he told me like, shit, I need to find a lot of people for this company. I was like, why? It's because I heard they just fired the entire marketing team. Why? Like, it's because apparently they just don't get digital. Okay, who is this company? And then the story goes on. So yeah, so just although they are from an industry that's so far away from you, although or like that you find no relevance, just network as much as you can. Okay, one name card might be worth a lot more 5 years later. You never know. Yeah.
Alright, thanks, Fazil. We have a question.
Hi, KL here. 2 questions. One is, what is a good email platform to blast out mass emails, like millions in range, without getting blocked for spam, and also
MailChimp probably?
And also, which channels, digital-wise, do you find, or even offline, do you find gives you the best return for cost per acquisition of sales of acquisition of whatever you want to acquire?
Sorry, can you repeat the second question?
Cost of whichever digital or traditional platforms that gives you the best returns in terms of cost per acquisition of
the customer
sales.
acquisition cost.
Of whatever you want to acquire,
cool.
whatever that is.
Sorry? Yeah. Okay, cool. So channels. I think right now there for emails 10 years ago was different, but right now there's actually a lot of free platforms that you can actually use. But I can tell you how spam filters work. It's because I think if you actually use, it doesn't help if you use different different email platforms, but it's just basically how you can use it, but it's basically just right down to the technical side how you use these platforms. It's because you can't let's say Google, their spam filters are extremely intelligent. Okay, today they might block something. Today they might block we will detect 5 different keywords. The next day they might detect 50,000 other new keywords that will automatically go to spam. It's basically being very it's been like how we did it for our clients is that basically we created a small program, okay, that basically automates certain keywords and just keeps on just changing these words into their own the nearest synonym. Okay, because like how internet algorithm works, right, and how they detect certain keywords is that there's always a set of words that is when it's repeatedly used. When it's repeatedly used in a certain context, it will be considered as spam. And one thing about how SEO works as well, if you actually have a similar let's say a paragraph of content, if you use the exact same paragraph of content in another website, Google will automatically detect you as spam, and it will just automatically push your ranking as low as possible. So I think it's basically diversifying keywords. Okay, but I think that right now I'm just getting too technical. In terms of platforms, there is no one method to actually optimize your customer acquisition costs. What I recommend is that you have to learn how to place multiple tags. For example, let's say Crazy Egg or Google Analytics, which is my favorite. Okay, how you place how you be sophisticated and place a large volume of tags within your website to track every single step your user takes. Okay, customer acquisition cost, of course, is how there's a lot of factors, but for me, in terms of optimizing your web product, or whether it's an app or your website, is basically to measure as much as you can. Whether, when it comes to the landing page, does he click this? Does he hover over here? Does he click? How long does it take him to actually close? How many windows does he have? Does he have to browse through before actually closing the website? You have to detect every single type of behavior that your user actually makes. But like what I said, in terms of customer acquisition costs, that's actually quite subjective, and it actually can be up to a lot of factors.
May I ask, do you have any particular segment of business that you were referring to, or are you asking in general?
Digital.
Yeah, digital, any kind of business?
App.
Okay. App. So you are trying to promote, say, people downloading your apps, or what?
Yeah, mainly, well, downloads, but to use the app
Usage?
itself. Yeah, usage.
Okay. Not really my area of expertise, but I thought perhaps if you could be sharp in that, then perhaps some panelists who can answer you more correctly. But per se, just relating to what Fazil said, is that it really comes down to your objective, right? And like for me, over the course of what digital acquisition is for Astro is, without trying to generalize too much, search is always very optimal for us, and to do a lot of, because it's extremely specific of the things that you look for. And the thing is, you need to keep optimizing your digital campaign acquisition, doing retargeting, and ensuring your landing page optimization is up to scratch. That will eventually bring it down a lot. So it really depends on what you do. So if it's just purely downloading apps or a particular, so you have to look at the space and decide what's best for you.
Sorry, can I just reconfirm real quick? So what Fadzil, you were saying is that basically it's not about which platform I use to send my emails through, but then it's what words I put in the email.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because
those images matter. Is the words.
Our images, it would take an extremely sophisticated platform to actually crawl through your images. I don't. Last I checked, I don't think even Google has gotten it yet. Google has gotten it yet, but right now I would say you need to place a heavy emphasis on words. Yeah.
Alright, thanks, Faisal. I think we have another question there.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Sean. I'm just going to speak on behalf of whoever's here that's not so technical know-how like me. As expected, today's forum is more of a personal sharing and all those things, but being in the new media age, it's always about the technical know-how. You yourself also have to understand what is SEO and the blah blah. Maybe you could offer a piece of advice. If we were to step out of this room right now, how do we train ourselves to be more technically ready? Because there are a lot of platforms out there. Maybe from your experience, you have learned valuable insights from particular website or particular platform that you can share to everyone here. Thank you.
I actually get what you mean. Like I said, from what I presented earlier, I joined Zalora as a photographer in the founding team. Okay, when I left, I was actually the regional head of user experience of the website. Okay, and this is because because it was a very fast-paced environment that you have to adapt or you die. It was literally like that. So I didn't even know how to use Microsoft Excel. I didn't know what a VLOOKUP was at the time. Okay, I know how to. I can say I was very good at Photoshop. Okay, but that really didn't help me. Okay, so like how my approach was that, okay, being a person with a creative background, okay, if I put myself in the context of the digital world, okay, how to measure the performance of my work, okay, and you can't do that anyway except numbers, okay, all right. Another approach I had is also that if a problem, okay, it's extremely technical, don't have the mentality of, oh, okay, I think I need to approach a developer. There's something wrong. There's something wrong with even like say, okay, oh my God, the digital leave forms are there's something wrong with it. It's not going through to my boss. I'm gonna ask IT and fix it. No, always try to fix something yourself and always try to adapt. Okay, it's because I do not think you have to be a technical whiz kid. You have to be a technical whiz kid to actually succeed in the tech sector. Like all you have to do is be a proper critical thinker. Okay. All right, like a critical and logical thinker, and how to make your numbers and how to basically make numbers make sense to you. Okay, I knew that 30% returns, from this particular product. It was caused by a certain reason. Okay, all right, and to actually convert a question like that into actual answers. Okay, I knew I had to get there, but okay, there wasn't going to be someone that's going to be helping me to actually get there. So I actually had to learn. Okay, whether it's just having a coffee with the lead technical guy in your company, or basically going to a startup convention. I think like the talent pool in this day and age are extremely agile. You have creative guys that are able to analyze big data. You have PHP developers, people very strong at the end. They're able to do they're able to design posters on Adobe Illustrator. Okay, I think versatility and adaptability is the order of the day. It's not whether you got an economics degree from X university. I think especially in the tech sector, I do believe that adaptability and the ability to remain lean and agile in your approaches are extremely important. Yeah, don't be afraid to learn something new, because like that guy, the lead tech of your company, there was one point in time that he didn't know how to do that as well. And just learning a little bit here and there will actually help you going very, very far.
Come to Rise Talks by SME Corp. The bulk of my recent tech knowledge was thanks to the last few Rise Talks here in SME Corp. It also pays to have friends who are in the digital world. I think there's no one place you can go and learn how to be more tech savvy. I guess you just have to go out. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm very used to OHPs and and stuff like that, no? Yeah, so I had to make a lot of friends and hang out with people like maybe Fazil and more people in the tech industry, just get to know people and attend more free events like this here at Rise. And you actually learn quite a fair bit from all the tech people coming. I think they had Groupon the last time I was here. They had Food Panda, which was very interesting, and they gave us some good insight into the .com world, which helped us integrate into our events.
Thanks, Juan. Thanks, Fazil.
I just want to provide some answers for the questions.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
Yeah, if let's say you search through online, right, basically there's a few, like the online course platforms, like Udemy, Udemy. They actually teach you a lot of no matter it's a digital marketing or even like SEO or things like that. And basically you just have to pay like fraction of the cost to learn. They actually give you the videos. And even there's one local startup called EduPal. They are doing the same things whereby you can learn all the skills with like just 5 USD per course. Yeah, and this is for online platforms. If let's say you're talking about offline, right? I'm not sure. I think you guys would know like incorporation of the Magic. Yeah, so I mean you basically can meet a lot of like startups, and they do have a lot of like programs there as well, whereby you can learn a lot of things and work with the people around. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the pointers. So we're gonna open up for last question before we call it a night. Any takers? Last question for this evening. Going once, going twice.
Stop.
Okay.
So I have a question. So like before you launch a product, how do you predict your customer acquisition?
Before you launch your product,
Yeah, how do you predict your customer acquisition? Like let's say if I put 2,000 into marketing, then I'll get 4,000 users. How do I predict it?
I think normally it works the other way around. I mean, before I offer it to them, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Usually it works the other way around. So as I understand, for these guys, I mean they run. We would call them consultants, right? They consult businesses, brands and businesses to design the marketing approach. So usually what happens is client would go to them, tell them, all right, this is our brand. This is the look and feel, the brand essence that should never change. It should remain as it is. And this is our challenge. For instance, like what we all saw with Kongguan. So the challenge is everyone knows it when they see it, but nobody knows what it's called. So that's the challenge. So the end objective is we want to make it memorable. We want people to start remembering our name as a brand. And not just say, oh yeah, I know that biscuit is the no-name biscuit. So normally it works the other way around. The client will come up with, we call it the brief. Yeah. Maybe you guys want to add on to that?
So is your business an app or?
Can be anything. It can be anything. Like the cost that you predict to get the user. Let's say if I throw in 10,000 ringgit, and how many users are you going to get? And how can you predict the cost of customer acquisition?
Okay, I think one school of thought is basically there's always a lot of research that's very easily obtainable. It's always identifying the total market size of your business. Okay, that's basically probably what the academics will tell you lah. For my personal experience, that the bigger questions on whether people will like this or whether people will use this in terms of a digital perspective, do the mom test. If your mom gets it, everyone will. No, it's actually very true. If it's an app, if your mom is able to use it, everyone can use it. Okay? If your mom just goes, it's not going to work. Yeah. I am actually very serious when it comes to technological stuff. Okay, like I was running a quite complex campaign for one of my clients, which you can't really disclose. So it actually had multiple points of entry, so you can go from web, mobile, or even your iPads as well. I thought it was the most brilliant idea, Okay, and then when I showed it to my mom, she just asked me two sets of questions like, oh, how do I log in? Okay, how do I log in? And what is the first thing I'm supposed to do after I log? No, sorry, was this one question? No, what am I supposed to do straight after I log in? She didn't know. She didn't know, and I realized that my landing page wasn't optimized very well. Like the call to actions weren't placed in the proper place. It was just right at the bottom where like people won't actually look at. So that actually solved a very simple but very fundamental problem of my product. So when it comes to tech, when it comes to technology products, right? Like I don't know, like my tried and tested method is basically the mom test. Trust me, it works.
Your mom says. Your mom says.
Thanks, Fazil. Joan, Gary, do you want to add anything to that?
I think if you look at the previous discussion that we had is to look at your target market, the characteristics of your target market first, and then nail down how many people you want to capture before determining whether you want to spend any money on marketing. Look back at historical records, historical trends in your industry, whether what the big players are spending, how big the market size is, as Fazil mentioned earlier, and then nail down your specific target markets. That should help you gauge how much you should spend. Not spend first and then see how many people you can get. I think there's no formula to that yet, but look at how many people you intend to achieve, to reach out to, and then that work backwards. It might help you determine how much you should spend to get that amount of people.
Okay, just concurring to what Joan has mentioned just now is that if you do a digital campaign, there is an industry benchmark. Depending on whether it's email marketing, when you send out an email, in terms of the open rate and engagement rate, there's a benchmark. Okay, it's not a sure-fail formula or anything like that, but it's a good benchmark. So that you work backwards, you get some indication about how many people you're going to reach and what's the amount that you're going to spend. And also depends on the channels, right? Because if it's strictly digital, that means your acquisition is strictly from digital. Is there any other channels that you need to acquire? Is it just digital? I think that's what you have in mind, right? Do you have any other channels like do you have a retail store or do you have a salesperson actually selling it to you? So all that plays into mind. But I'm just thinking of digital per se. For Ace, when I run my digital campaign, I love digital campaign because it's extremely targeted. The ROI is pretty formalized, and it usually doesn't go far off. Right? I spend about $1 million ringgit on digital on average every year, and it never fails. Each of the platform that I use gives me the kind of benchmark returns that is pretty much the same. Okay, sometimes it's lower. It's rarely it goes around there. So from there, when I spend on my digital campaigns, the returns that I get, it's really quite consistent.
So I think if there are any other specific questions, right, I think you can reach out to us anytime after this event as well. We are pretty open with sharing, so if you want to meet up with us after this during the weekdays or weekends or whatever it is, just give us a call and then we can come down, we can sit down and discuss in more detail certain things that will help us as well, of course.
Alright guys, before we conclude this evening's talk, just want to thank again Fazil, Joan and Gary for hopping on board, for sharing their 2 cents worth of sharing. More importantly, for working on the brief challenge. So big round of applause for these guys. And I'd like to invite Arif over to do the wrap up.